They do not rely on a diet, and sometimes you are so jealous. Like there's this Chinese girl having the shape of her life and eating all this rice and all this oil or these mega big soups with a lot of like mientiao, spaghetti, how to call it, noodles. Yeah. Today we're visiting a vegan restaurant in the floor. Be prepared because this place it's so beautiful. Yeah, and it's just near the Shenzhen Bay railway station. So every time I have the chance, I will come here to eat. How beautiful paradise! Do you like puerty? I also love the deco from here. Look. I love that they will give you this puerty in a special teapot. Like is this one? Wow. That's my luggage, by the way. And now it's time to check the menu. Oh yeah, this is a restaurant, so I'm basically sitting somewhere over here. I love the menu. It's like so clean and nice, and the background music. This is so awkward, you know? It's like a chicken, just like the ones outside, like the real ones with the skin and everything cut by the bones and the entire piece there, just like that. What do you think about this? Would you order this just for fun? But again, the fun is not to eat dead animals, and it looks like one. This really surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. My food arrived. Yeah, I have ordered this soup. It's like a jam and the wild mushroom soup, as well as this dish over here, which I wanted to give this a try. Looks quite weird, yeah? Okay, so dishes are ready to be eaten here in my table. And I'm gonna start with this soup. Yeah, so happy to be here. Yeah, I love vegan food in China. It's just like, it's my passion. Anyways, so let's start with the soup here. About to try the dishes. There's this guy here. Okay, so are you ready? It's okay. It's not like my favorite. I don't think I will ask for it again, but it's okay. It's like my first time trying this kind of soup. The consistency of it is like gruel. Can you see that? But it does have some vegetables on it. I think it's celery and jam and pieces of wild mushroom. It's like very light. Interesting taste. Friends, cheers to good life with puerty here in a vegan restaurant somewhere in Shenzhen. Yeah. For a vegan future. Yeah. And for a happy life. Always, now and forever. From China with love. Marcarib, always. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay tuned and do not miss a video of my vegan adventures in China, of course. Okay, so now we're gonna try this thing here. It looks quite oily. I'm not sure. Let's give this a try. Have you ever tried this thing? I don't know what is the name of it, but it's kind of sweet but salty at the same time. Looks like this. I know it's kind of shiny, oily. It's good. It's good. Definitely, I like this better than the soup. And there is like some peppers, green peppers, red pepper. It's not as oily as it looks like. And they told me that these are some mushrooms, which basically look like some kind of sticks, I don't know. This is weird. I think it's my first time trying this. It's okay, but Okay guys, I was on a very strict raw vegan diet before, years ago, and then I was just trying to eat like really clean. But recently I came back to China and I was working with Chinese people, and they were giving me Chinese breakfast and Chinese food all day long, so I kind of get used to it somehow. And I was like trying to avoid like cold fruits in the morning, because I try to eat something warm like the porridge and the hot soya milk. And that was super interesting, because now I'm kind of enjoying the foods, and I really did not order this kind of foods. When I was living here in China, I wouldn't be ordering this kind of foods, but just now, recently that I came back, I'm kind of experimenting new tastes. And I think it's good for the channel for you to check out how many different kind of vegan cuisines can you get to discover here in China, like different cities, different places. Even in one city itself, there are so many different kind of restaurants and so many different kind of budgets. So yeah, it's good. It looks like sourdough bread. How is it? Hold up. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think about me discovering vegan restaurants? Do you like this section in the channel? And what do you think about like vegan food in China after watching my channel? Because so many people had a different idea about veganism in China. Many of them thought that it was like super hard to find vegan food. So a lot of my subscribers commented that before watching my channel, they weren't aware that there were so many vegan options until they start watching and discovering like, wow, there are even more options there than in Mexico itself, or perhaps elsewhere. And the thing that I like here is that they cook a lot of veggies compared to perhaps the West, where they do try to make everything vegan, like the vegan hot dog, vegan hamburger, and you know, and so on. And perhaps, I don't know if that would be the healthiest option to have an everyday kind of junk meal vegan food. The Chinese vegan food is just like the Chinese food, but in a vegan version. And still quite healthy, because there are a lot of vegetables and really almost non-processed foods, which is the best part of it. Like, I think that's the key of Chinese health. Like, they do consume really little processed foods compared to us back in Mexico or the USA, where a lot of times we eat something that was packed or processed, like cookies, canned beans, etc. That's like really not healthy, and Chinese do rarely consume those kind of foods. They always like the rice is their staple, and apart from that, the veggies and the little pieces of meat. Because my Chinese friends themselves have told me like, wow, you guys consume a lot of meat, like a big steak like that is too much for us. I wouldn't be able to digest it so well, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. So they still try to avoid eating that much meat as some of you guys back in the West. So basically it goes like this. In each meal, some they start from breakfast and some start from lunch and dinner. They will consume a bowl of rice. Apart from the bowl of rice, they will also have some kind of veggies and some kind of meat, but just pieces, and they will put like the pieces on top of the rice, so they will eat together. And they always want to eat rice. And they say like if they don't eat rice, they won't feel full. On my personal opinion, I think eating rice is just, how to say, not so very nutritious like white rice, but it's better than eating something like, it's like perhaps a hamburger or like those things that are full of bread. Because once again, rice is like not that processed as other flours, yeah, like white flours that we consume in Mexico and elsewhere. So once again, I think it all comes to they eating really little or almost none, some of them like really none processed foods at all. Like they cook the rice is a grain. So that is their basic diet. Some of my friends will consume rice, veggies and meat for the 3 meals of the day. Like, wow. And of course we will be like, why are you eating so much rice? Don't you get tired of it? But they do not get tired of eating rice. One thing that surprised me a lot is like we in the West are used to eat like something sweety or sweet for the morning, like fruits or hot cakes which have like maple syrup and chocolate and, you know, smoothies. Apart from consuming like something sweet, of course people perhaps will have some eggs and some other salty stuff, right? But in China, breakfast, it's almost salty. I feel like they wake up and they don't feel the need to eat something sweet. They are not used to eat sweet things, by the way. And most of the times they consume like fruit as a dessert, which is like perfect. I mean, it's not as perfect because you have to eat fruit before you eat a meal in order for it to digest better. But of course, it's better to eat fruit like watermelon and some other foods that they usually consume after meals than to eat a cake like back in Mexico or in the USA or elsewhere, or a tiramisu or whatsoever, a big cheesecake, like Cheesecake Factory, having that kind of like really high calorie intake just after a big meal. And here we do not have such desserts like cakes or ice cream. So that's something I think that also helps a lot for them to stay in shape. Once again, no processed foods. Second, no sweets. Third, they almost never, this applies more for the old generations because the young people are adapting to the new Western style, trying new things, new foods, new snacks. But I've seen that almost all the elderly here will not consume any linchu, that's how they call it. Something from the shop, something from 7-Eleven, grab something in between meals. They rarely do that. Like they always are very like straight on their meal plan, like, oh, it's time to eat, and they will just grab the food from somewhere or have it delivered to their whatever workplace or home and start eating. So they are very accurate. They respect meal times a lot. So I think that's something great because they have this like, order about when to eat and when to not eat. Not like us in Mexico that we are eating all day long, eating these like all these snacks, from the streets, which make people obese, over intake of calories. So I rarely see someone eating in between meals. Like if just breakfast passed and it's about to be lunch and you are eating something, they will ask you like, haven't you eaten breakfast, or are you eating lunch? I don't know if you will also agree with me, but if you have any Chinese friend, when it's mealtime, they are like super hungry, eating like the rice, like this, like I don't know how. I mean, like, and then they're like, okay, I'm full, and that's it. And they will rarely have any snack after that, any sweet thing, and that's it until dinner time. And in dinner time again, and that's it. And sometimes dinner time is quite early, like 5 or 6. I think that's quite early compared to us in Mexico. Perhaps we will have maybe like 8 p.m. we will go to the corner where they sell tacos and have that kind of big heavy meal at that quite late time of the day. So perhaps digestion is not at its best, So that's point number 3. They eat dinner at dinner time and they do not eat again unless they want to eat this thing called xiaoye, which is like late hours kind of snack. And also it's not a sweetie, it's something like a barbecue meat as well as vegetables, like barbecue vegetables, and you think again like, wow, they are so healthy because they are just eating like, again, non-processed foods. Not like us. When I was young, I will eat like, some cereal. Cereal is a processed food or something having a very high amount of like sugar on it, processed in a box. I don't know, call it cookies, bars, whatever, but they still do not consume those kind of foods. So I think that's secret number 3. What do you think about my 3 points here? I think they are really valid. I've been living in China for 10 years and this is my conclusion. Apart from there are many others regarding to their fitness lifestyle, although there is not such a fitness kind of regime, but they stay fit, right? And these points that I've made just here are kind of the key points. Oh, and the last one, tea. So they rarely consume any kind of like refresco, how we call it, soda in Mexico. As far as I know, Mexico is the number 1 country in the world consuming soda. So no wonder why people is obese there. Soda is just full of sugar. And tea is not. The tea that they consume here is just like pure boiled water with some kind of leaf. And that's it. No added things. Once again, it's not processed. There's nothing added to it unless there is like the, naicha at the end, or like the bottled tea that they sell on 7-Eleven. Most of the times in China, you will still just consume this kind of like plain not other sugar kind of drink, which is tea. And a lot of people will also be commenting on how Chinese people dare to eat tea during like summertime. It's so hot outside and they still want to drink this hot drink. Like, why? I'm also very sure that consuming the hot tea makes their metabolism go faster, like digestion and everything. Once again, there's no sugar, there's nothing added. So I used to have this friend who told me, like, anytime you eat oily meal, don't forget to drink tea afterwards, like a few cups of tea. So the green tea or the whatever tea that she was consuming will like break out the fat that she consumed before. And I think that it somehow works, because people do consume tea and people do consume a lot of oil in here, but they're still so slim. But once again, I think like the oil does not make as much harm as the processed foods and all the additives that we add back in the West, and they are just not consuming that much of that. Of course, I'm sure that you will be arguing like, oh, their foods are not natural, their soil is polluted. That's another story. This topic is just about habits, not really how natural or unnatural the foods are here, but the way that people eat here and the habits that they have, because that's the more important thing, right? Like, yeah, they do not rely on a diet. And sometimes you are so jealous, like there's this Chinese girl having the shape of her life and eating all this rice and all this oil or these mega big soups with a lot of like mientiao, spaghetti, how to call it, noodles. So yeah. How come people can eat everyday noodles, mian, or like this, yeah, and be so slim? Once again, they are made out of like rice and they're quite natural. So let me know if you are also wondering, like I wonder sometimes when I see people and like they are so slim and they're eating this big bowl of like mian or noodles or whatever other meal, and you still find them so fit. Let me know what is that you think about these subjects, like which are their secrets. Do you agree with me about the points that I mentioned before, yes or not? Have you ever lived in China? By the way, I have friends that live here, and after some months they start gaining weight and they blame that it was because of the rice. I'm not sure again whether if you consume a bowl of rice with a little bit of vegetables and meat will make that big of a difference. I myself do not consume rice because I think I prefer to consume more vegetables. I'm not a fan of rice. Before I was, long time ago. Okay guys, I'm gonna continue eating my meal. I hope you have enjoyed this talk. I love to talk to you about, and let me know as well if you have any other topics, suggestions for future videos to come. I love you. I send you my hugs, kisses from China with a lot of love, and we'll keep enjoying my vegan meal here because it almost got so cold, and that's something really when Chinese food is hot, it's quite like, but and although it's oily, you taste it and it's okay, but once it's cold, the oil and everything, I don't think it tastes the same. And this one over here is not as oily, but still I don't want it to get cold because I think it will lose its flavor, as it's better to eat it hot. Cheers to good life. Let me drink something. By the way, I'm drinking this pu'er tea, which is very good for, I've heard that it was good for digestion and for the stomach. So cheers to good life, and I'm drinking this pu'er tea here. So yeah, I've tasted myself after meals and it works really well for that. So in case that you're wondering which tea to consume after a meal, I will strongly recommend you to consume pu'er tea. Bye-bye. Kisses to the world. I've just ordered my guihua cha roasty. Yeah, looking so pretty. Guys, I'm eating like crazy here. I've just ordered this thing which is like sweet potato cheese cake. And it's not bread. I'm not sure what is it, but it's tasty. And it's cheesy. And it's soft. Can you see that texture? It's already late here. And I was hungry. It's time to say goodbye to this vegan restaurant until the next time. I stayed there like for hours and hours, and now it's even dark. So